things first, you already win. You already him, you don't gotta pretend. Fuck them, you already king. You stay real, you confident in your skin. It's all now, sit in the power that you already in. This the story of a master from a true Bedouin, far away from home if you ever been. First round pick, league of the smooth gentleman. The game rigged like 50 Cent, it's a cool sentiment. I'm from the era when lyrics and bars is over everything. 5-star veteran, couldn't walk in my fucking shoes or carrying. Excuse my borderline.
What up? It's November 4th. Oh my gosh, it's election night eve. And this is episode 105 of the How Billy Sees It program. I can't believe it. Yeah, applause for that. Episode 105. And if you've been following our 30 for 30, I've been doing one episode every single day for 30 days. And we are now on day 22. Woo! Applause again. Day 22. We've been doing all kinds of things. We've been talking philosophy. We've been talking politics. We've been getting into controversial stuff. We've been challenging the host. We've been challenging myself to get into stuff. It's been good. It's been great. I hope you've been enjoying it. Today, I wanted to get into something specific. Sometimes I just come in and we kind of ramble, but today I have something in particular. This relates to something. I say this a lot. I when I write, oftentimes on my website, my blog posts, I'll leave the hashtag "It's All One Thing." On Instagram, I'll leave the hashtag "It's All One Thing," and on Facebook, I'll talk about certain things and philosophy-related topics, and I leave the hashtag "It's All One Thing." And I guess for the most part, I'm assuming people kind of know what I mean, but it occurs to me that there's no reason to assume that. I did an episode where I talk about, I have an episode called A Theory of Everything. You can look that on YouTube. And another episode where I called Love, Separation, and Kendrick Lamar. It's a video I made after Kendrick's Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers album. And it just inspired me to get into that. It was about 2 years ago I made that video. And in that video, I talk about a lot of the concepts that I'm gonna kind of talk about today. But I'm gonna summarize it again. Today, again, 30 for 30. For 30, we do 30 minutes for the most part, and so this is gonna be a good one to explain what I mean when I say it's all one thing. Yo, I don't just say shit. By the way, I don't just say shit. I'm not that dude that just says shit. The shit that I say has meaning, and it points to things in reality also, whatever. It's like, but it's real shit. It's all one thing is not a cute turn of phrase. It is reality. It is reality. Everything that we are experiencing in this world are connected in a myriad ways. Humans are connected through our language, through the fact that we are all made up of like these rudimentary, cells and atoms. Our language connects us. We're in symbiotic relationship with plant life through, a very simple map of this is the oxygen and carbon dioxide transfer that symbiotically supports life between us and trees. It's all one thing. This planet, this ecosystem is one thing. The water in the Atlantic Ocean is not entirely different from other parts and other bodies of water all around the world. We give things names. We give plots of land names. We have borders, and we create systems of politics and narrative that create separation, but it is all one thing. Sheba says we are also connected by the microplastics in our blood. Applause for that. Unfortunate. But the story, so when I say that it's all one thing, the first thing I mean is that our notion and our stories about anything are somewhat fictitious. They are stories. They are the application of words and labels to things, and then you structure that in an English sentence structure and you can tell a story, but that it's all one thing. If you don't know what I mean, look at NFL football teams. You think that those teams are separate and different? You think that the Dallas Cowboys truly hate the Commanders, and the Jets really hate the Patriots and all that? Well, what if I told you that that all of these NFL teams that are blood rivals, generational rivals against each other, that they're all part of a massive conglomerate, for-profit, non-profit organization, that they make tons of money through advertisements and apparel sales, and each of them have their independent little networks in their states, but that they pool their money at the end of every year and then dole out money resources to each other, that they're in support with each other. And that it's set up in such a way that even the worst team in the NFL, the team in the NFL that does the worst, they are bolstered. You almost can't fail. You're going to get some support from the team that does the best. You're going to get extra money that will keep you afloat, and more than afloat. They will be successful financially at the very least, even if they're not doing well on the football field. Because it's all one thing. Now, if you're talking on a specific level, if you're talking on a certain level at let's call it a lower level, and you're only looking at what's happening on the field, you see these collisions and these shit talking and all this shit, you might come to the conclusion, you might feel deeply in your bones that each of these football teams are entirely separate and that they are really, gritting against each other. And it's just not true. If you look at our political system and the political parties, you might get that same feeling. You look at it at a certain level, and if you allow yourself to watch cable news stuff and you buy into all of the same narrative stuff. Cable news is it's the political version of ESPN, creating storylines and telling you, oh, blah, blah, and watch out for these. They got the pollsters, and next week there's a whole thing, and let's have a panel to talk about this and create content and create reasons to look and listen to us, because we've got important things to say about all kinds of stuff. And you realize that the two political parties are in tandem, and they're part of a massive history in our country, and it's sort of a trading political regimes that they've agreed on terms for debates. They've agreed on terms for certain things. Obviously, they also disagree greatly, and they have a wide range of stuff going on, particularly now in 2024. We're dealing with the Republican Party is not your daddy's Republican Party, but neither is your daddy's Democrat Party. They're both in a whole other field, but it's important to know that it's one thing. The creative energy that we see in both cases, in football and in politics, comes from the capacity to point things out separately, to point out, these two parties have traditional political allegiances. I think they've evolved through history. They continue to evolve, but they're connected. They're connected. So all of our separations, we need to be mindful of. Looking at the news organizations, again, CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, they operate, if this one's a little bit more anarchic, they're not entirely together the way the NFL is, or the two political parties are. They actually do compete for ratings and this and that. But these are three separate corporate firms that have registered themselves and produce content and make partnerships, and they play off of each other. And CNN will remind you that Fox got sued, and Fox will pretend that CNN is the mainstream and they're bad, and they play off of each other, and their value is in each other's, as a contrast to each other. The contrast is key. And recently, last year or 2 years ago, when the CNN CEO rebranded the country, he didn't rebrand the company. They kept the logo, kept the thing, but they did a shift. They did a shift to the right. A lot of people noticed that. What they did there was the goal of the whole thing is to make money, right? The goal is not to make sure that you know what's going on in the world. The goal is to make money. So what they did was they're paying attention to the marketplace of ideas. They're being influenced by Fox News. If they weren't in tandem, if they weren't merged and not that they're the same thing, but that they overlap and they need each other. And so Fox News pulls CNN over in this other direction because the CEOs of all of these companies don't have any real political commitment. So again, the whole thing is about making money. So I don't want to spend too much time there because I've got several other points, but it's just very important. I can anything that we talk about, any two people, me and my wife, we're two separate bodies. Yes, our bodies are separate, which is a good thing. It allows us to go in different places. I can go to New York, she can go, we can have our particular experience as corporeally separate, but our engagements are profoundly connected. That's true as a married couple, it's true with the neighbors, it's true with people in this community, it's true with people around the world. COVID is a big reminder, it should be a big reminder of how interconnected the entire globe is when a virus sprouts up somewhere you think is so far away. This stuff reverberates over here. The political stuff going on all around the world has connections to us in this moment. Everything is connected. It's all one thing. The second thing, practically, when I talk about it's all one thing, the outside world is inside you. The isness, let me put this screen here. Pause for that. The outside world is inside you. If you listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson, he talks about like stardust. And he talks about the fact that, deep at the core of each of our cells is this ancient exploded stardust that somehow gave rise to all of this. It's very hard to understand. It's very hard to explain. Even the best people in these fields struggle to explain it. But there's an element of like a cake, the constituent parts of the cake are true in the entire cake, and it's true when you cut a slice. One slice is also the cake. It's the same stuff. And the crumbs, little particular crumbs are of the same stuff. They're of the same stuff. Google, let me get this dude real quick. Daniel Hoffman. Daniel Hoffman. I'm going to go Billy full screen. No, let's go here. Up. We want game capture off. We want display. Okay, there we go. Up. We want the other one. 1 second, guys. Nope. There we go. All right. Daniel Hoffman has a bunch of YouTube videos. He's gaining in some popularity, but what is his deal? He has been making the rounds trying to talk about consciousness. And he talks about consciousness, he says nothing you see is real. He challenges reality from a physics perspective, and he actually comes to something that is like kind of spiritual. I don't want to get too deeply into this because I want to get to my points, but he challenges our notions of reality, and he says that there's a deeper reality underneath us, but that we are experiencing something like a headset, which brings it back to like a video game. We are experiencing an interface that allows us to enjoy this life, but that underneath it is a oneness that escapes our understanding and escapes our language. Okay, I'll leave you to that. I want you to check him out. Some very interesting stuff. And again, to arrive at some of what he's saying with his scientific background in physics is really interesting. It's really interesting. Applause for that. Okay. The other implication of it's all one thing, the divine is not external to you. The divine is not external to you. the good stuff of this world is not external to you. Again, one of my issues with the way that I was taught of Christianity, it included this separation. It included a requirement of a separation. The good was somewhere outside of us, that the story is that we are sinful, and that God separated himself from this world, and that we were redeemed through Jesus Christ, and yet that separation consists, right? It persists. And this is a way to explain a lot of the shitty stuff we see going on in the world. But these are separations. It's not key. A lot of the Eastern faiths have a stronger connection to this truth. The fact that everything is God, and that the divine is not external to us. And what that means is, on a practical level, is that we aren't just the recipient of circumstances. It's not like the old Greek gods of, like, these anthropomorphic, creatures that are super powerful that just kind of do stuff to us. We are also leaving an imprint. We are accepting things, and we are asserting things. We are creating. We just don't give language to it. We don't always assess it and tell ourselves the story that way. But the truth of this all one thing narrative gives us the power to recognize that we actually are leaving an imprint. Sometimes people don't prefer this story. Sometimes people prefer a story that leaves themselves in a position of like powerlessness, And it's important to notice that if you're more attracted to the idea of like a nihilistic powerlessness, then you might be attracted to that. You might choose a narrative that gives you that. But I certainly can't get down with that. I've been through a lot personally, and I've been able to get over things personally through this kind of personal faith, this approach, this awareness of faith, and an acceptance of what is. Because as I said in a different joint, it really is the story that you hold. All of it is true. All of it is true. That's the brilliant texture and the brilliant magic of this thing that we might call God. It's like you actually are creating it. And if people can feel me on that, let me know, leave a comment. I really do hope that resonates with you. I hope you're not in a place where you feel like that's not true, where you are merely a small, tiny recipient of the world, and that you aren't capable. That's just not the full story. See, that's what's crazy about it. Again, the magic of it, right? You are both directly connected to the divine and highly capable and powerful, and you are creating all the time with your dreams and with your words, with your actions. And so you're deeply powerful on a level that you don't understand. And at the same time, because of our perspectives, we don't internalize that grand story, that brilliant story. We also don't internalize just how unspecial we are. that our lives, if we're lucky, we're gonna get 60, 70 years here, and it'll be like a quick nothing. And as I said, we exist on this planet which is floating in space, and we're one of billions of people, and so there's a level of significance there, insignificance, that's also true, and they're both true. And the key to this thing, right, the key to it's all one thing for me, the practical sort of power in this is being able to use both of those things when it's valuable to me. When I need the power to step into something and to wake up early and to find the energy to do it, I access the truth of my connection to the divine. And like the Christian prayer, what's that called? I forget the name of that prayer. I also, when when dealing with certain insurmountable conditions, to have the awareness and hopefully the wisdom to accept and to notice that this is outside of my, like, I can't handle certain things alone. I can't handle it. And to accept that and not be so, because the weight of the first condition, it's a powerful thing to truly step into that and to truly believe that. And it's also heavy, and it can be heavy. So to be able to pull back and accept the second truth, and to be able to accept all of them, the serenity prayer, that's right, baby, thank you, to accept all of them, to know that, like, it's all true. Your the level of your agency in any moment is, it varies based on all kinds of conditions. um you know, but the premise of it's all one thing is powerful to me because it connects me to that knowledge that, um the divine, my better self, Billy plus, any sort of, any idea or concept, the better version of myself that I can think of, the very fact that I'm thinking of it means it is something that is accessible to me. It is something that not everyone else is thinking about. It is that thought of the better self is a outgrowth of my particular experiences in this particular moment in these particular circumstances. It is mine. It is mine. Which takes me to the next one, which is a time component on this. It's all right now. It's all right now. That's a really powerful thing. It's all one thing includes the fact that the past is right now and the future is right now. This is why the whole thing with, like, the campaign stuff where they tell you to wait, we got to wait and do this in 4 years. And no, no, no. Next election cycle, you'll actually stand up and actually vote for, um, vote in your interest as opposed to someone and things like this. It's just not what it is. The people, this is another separation. Time is a separation. There are people who benefit from you constantly thinking that you have some other future key, that the time is going to come at some other point. It's just like a person who wants to be a famous or popular musician, and they always think that there's something they need. Oh, I don't have the right microphone, or I can't get studio time, or I can't, oh, maybe next month when I get blah blah blah. These are just concepts that pull you away from the power of what is, which is it's all one thing, which is all right now. And the thing about it is, anyone who's lived long enough can attest to this. All these things, you keep telling yourself that something is outside of yourself, you're gonna keep seeing it as outside of yourself. You're gonna keep experiencing it as outside of yourself. You're gonna never feel that you have enough to do the thing you're supposed to do now. You're never gonna feel that the time is right to do the thing that you're supposed to do now. When the time is right, right now, and you're powerful right now, if only you will accept that true story. Um, I talk about the power of now. In part, I've talked about this, how now is so powerful, it can change the past. If you forgive someone, you have changed the past. You have changed the story of the past. The inner turmoil you had about someone or something, the memory, the triggering memory, the anger that you ever relive something from the past because you haven't processed it and let it go in the present. You're still clinging to it for one reason or another. It's very typical. There's nothing wrong with it except that it will be eating at you until you do the work of the therapy and the reframing and the telling a different story and the accepting and the letting go. And this is crazy because you haven't necessarily changed anything about the past, but you've changed in the present the story and your engagement with the past, and so you've changed it. You've changed the repercussions, you've changed the potentialities, you've changed everything about that thing, everything that is meaningful, that is in the now. And so that's how the now connects to the past. That's one of the ways that the now connects to the past. And the now also connects with the future, with your aspirations, because your aspirations are now. Again, the vision you have of yourself is right now. You have to like act now as that person. And I grew up with the term fake it till you make it. And I think, I see what we're trying to aim to there, but even better than that, there's no need to fake anything. There is simply be. There is simply be. Don't fake anything. Step into what you know and try and be the genuine article of it and not the, don't perform anything. Don't It's tough because when you have an aspiration, you don't know, like if you see an athlete, you don't know all the hours that Steph Curry put in, so you might your first thing you might do in order to the people who want to be Steph Curry, they might wear the wristband, wear the headband and this is the first step towards being that aspirational thing is a kind of a mimicry, kind of a cheaper performance of the thing. But if you really want to get into that thing, you step into it now and you take a test, you take a hit, you go to the gym, you do whatever, you do it now, you do the thing that person does now. Because that's the only thing that there is. You cannot tell yourself that you'll do it tomorrow or next month. Um, it's all one thing. You're creating separations for one reason or another. You might have been told that it's totally rational and reasonable to create these kinds of separations and to hold to them. But it's important to remind yourself that they're not true. And the truth is that this aspirational thing, this thing in the future, it just as you want it, it wants you. The universe is conspiring in your favor. It's all one thing. This is like the idea of, God, you pray to God, God, is listening to your inner desires and will move mountains and do miracles on your behalf. I don't want to make all these kinds of claims. I do want to say that in terms of miracles and blah, 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 I do want to say that through being the thing in the moment, through engaging with the self and coming up with a true sense of your own like aspiration and then stepping into it in the now, things start to like confidently, certainly things start to come to you. I can attest to this personally, bro. I can attest. Sheba says, who is Steph Curry? Oh my God. Sheba, you know who Steph Curry is. Okay? Oh man, that's kind of loud, I think. um, it's all one thing. It truly is all one thing. The other practical thing about it's all one thing. If I address something in one area, it affects other areas of my life. So I've talked about this with like, I grew up wearing black and dark blue colors, and a lot of men that I grew up around have a similar sensibility about like style and masculinity. Um, and I want to say that when I point this out to people, I'm not just making a fashion observation. I'm making an observation about separations and walls and the sense of the self and the identity And I want to say that the fashion thing is one symptom, it's one window of um a deeper condition, not judgmentally, that you put yourself in a box, or you've externalized colors. Something so benign as like colors in your wardrobe. You've externalized this, and you may not even notice it. You consider it to be entirely natural and good and just and sensible, and it feels good. It feels familiar, and it feels as if there's no other options even. You don't even go into the you go to a store, you don't even look at those more colorful shirts. You walk right past those shirts. You go right back to what you know or what you believe is you. It's my black. I'm gonna get the black hoodies. I'm gonna get 6 black hoodies. You got 9 black hoodies at home. You go out to this department store. Let me get another 6 black hoodies. That's me. I know what that's like. But that this is not natural. It's not who you are. Like, you are evolving, and there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. Like, I want to leave room for personal taste, but I also want to point out that all of these limits, all of these walls and closed doors and are constructions. And if you delve and allow yourself the room to accept or access more colors in your t-shirt collection, you also, it changes you. Like, it fundamentally changes. This is you being stepping into something. It changes you. You have softened and loosened the tightness of the identity assumptions, and it changes you on a personal level. It changes you. It allows you'll be more welcoming and accepting of people you see outside in the outside world who are dressed creatively and who engage creatively and like try things out with their wardrobe. Um, if you have a relationship with a parent or a sibling or an authority figure in your life, and it's rooted in a fear somehow, if you learn to step into that fear and speak to them and assert yourself in this one case with that one person, it changes you. It changes the whole thing, because it's all one thing. So what I'm saying here is, the courage to speak on big things, or to engage on big things, starts with addressing small things. This is the one thing that I think Jordan Peterson gets right. Jordan Peterson gets a couple things right, and this is one of them, when he says, clean up your room first instead of trying to take over the world. I don't like that phraseology. I don't like, it's a bit condescending. The point is to, like, he wants to set himself up as this like elder. But the point is that there are things you can tackle that are connected, that are not only connected and would benefit you, that are right there, but it's setting you up. It's setting you up to actually do the work and get the rigors in and the practice in, to actually address difficult things, address small things. If you can address that small thing and come out stronger from it, you're a different person. And I find that my ability to like step into difficult shit and reframe stories that I had about myself, again, because time is all one thing. It changes you. It changes you. Applause for that. And the last thing, before I do a full recap, the last thing about the all one thing is a reminder that any two seemingly opposite concepts have only arisen as a contrast to each other. Any two seemingly opposite concepts are contrasts to each other, but they are of the same property. Like heat and cold. They are in contrast to each other. They are different. They are unique. There's value in giving them different words, but you mustn't believe that they're not one thing. That there isn't an energy exchange happening at all times, and that heat is the description, the concept of heat. Heat arises as a contrast to cold in our minds as a concept. African, like black and white, we sometimes talk about these things as like black and white people are separate. There are people who will want to tell us they are separate. We sometimes call these people racists. But these are concepts. And the concept of the American black is deeply intertwined with the concept of American whiteness. They are intertwined. The notions we have about American blackness have only arisen through, the history of racial interaction, harmful and otherwise. And that's why, like, blackness in Africa is a very different concept. They have different words. They have other words for different categories of people based on skin color as well. And the idea of being black is a different thing. Feminine and masculine. Yes, there are things that we call feminine. There are things we call masculine, but there are masculine properties in women. There are feminine properties in men, or qualities, and none of these properties are like real. These attempts to say that, women are X, you can't do it, or that females are. We debunked some of this in a previous video. We talked about how a lot of the feminine and the masculine concepts come from wrong-headed notions about nature, even down to the process of childbirth and fertilization and conception. The concept of the passive egg and the speedy millions of sperm racing and battling where the best one gets out. This feeds and has fed a lot of the right-wing media to talk about men and that battle and women as the passive whatever. These are projections of like bad notions of shit. Feminine and masculine are in a social sense are we certainly have things that we call feminine and things we call masculine, but that they arise from contrast. They arise from the social space. They aren't root to anything. It's all one thing. And you know that it evolves. You know that long hair was considered feminine and that young boys had to deal with being charged with being feminine for long hair. You know that earrings, when I first had earrings coming from New York, I got some shit for that. It's just like, it's all one thing. And the reason it's so important is everything I've said here. So now I've made the case for why it's all one thing. And I'm telling you the practical value of it one more time before I jump off. Oh my God, we're at the 40-minute mark. One, all the stories of separation that we've told ourselves are not true. On one level, they're true. On another level, they're not true. From the football teams that you love to the broader NFL, the fact that they're all together, from our body parts, every single body part, my heart, my lungs, and my ribs, these are separate things. And you might tell a separate story about my liver and a separate thing from the nervous system, but it's all connected and it's all part of my corporeal being. It's all one thing. Just because I can tell a story about something on one level does not mean that it's actually separate. The outside world is inside of you. Everything that we're seeing outside, everything that bothers us that we notice from the outside is actually pointing back to the self, is actually telling us something about the self that we can learn about. A perfect example was with Sheba and her comedy. When she started her comedy, I have conversations with her and conversations with myself to learn and understand, wow, I didn't know I was going to be married to a comedian. I didn't know I'd be married to a hilarious comedian who also goes in dark places and also, makes the crowd gasp and laugh. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was incumbent upon me to like notice that these are lessons for me to learn whenever like one of her jokes was like making me uncomfortable in the audience, because it's all one thing. I'm not just seeing Sheba's words and the audience and all this stuff. I'm seeing it through me. Everything is actually me because it's all one thing. The divine is not external to you. You are in constant co-creation with it. And that all stories are true from the highest sort of, from the highest partnership with the divine to like your status as being relatively insignificant in the grand scheme of space and time, but that it's all true because it's all one, and you can actually access what you need in order to empower yourself or to accept. And yeah, that's it. It's like it's all right now. Yeah. It's all right now. You can change the past through the story you tell in the now. You ever have an ex girlfriend or something, and you talk shit about them, and you're holding on to something, and then one day it hits that you actually don't feel bad about them. You don't hate them. You don't want anything bad for them. You're free of that. You're free of whatever happened. Well, now you just changed history in the now, because it's all one thing, and the now is always now. So don't wait for next year or next month for anything. Don't wait for next political cycle. Don't wait for next week. Do the thing ASAP, because it's all one thing. This is what I've tried to share here in the last half hour is a concept, is a philosophical concept. But I want to tell you that the concept, if anything I've said here feels weird and strange, and you want to kind of reject, you are also holding a concept. You might have a different concept. You might agree with some of these things, but you might have a different. It's not that you are engaging with like something called true. You are engaging with a concept. You have a philosophy. You have a narrative about this stuff, and that other narratives are just as plausible and accessible, and some are even more powerful. And so that's the one I'm interested in. I'm actually interested in those that like really empower me, and this is what I'm sharing here is the one that does it for me. So we're at the 43-minute mark. That's the end of it. Ooh, yeah. We're gonna keep it going. I'll see you tomorrow. I always feel these episodes will be real. I'll be rambling. I'm like, I don't know how that went. I hope that made sense. But thankfully afterwards they usually do. So my man, everybody's on here, 3 viewers. I appreciate y'all. Zeb, what up? Sheba, thanks for your comments. Yeah, you see what you're looking for, yo, and it's all one thing. It's all one thing. Peace. Maybe these critics is wrong. Maybe you twice as strong. What if every fear and doubt was gone? I'm up first, bright from dawn, like fuck it, we yawn. I squeeze life, pythons bite when the mic's on. Peace, I might respawn. I hook left with the right arm, living in 5-star, ring the alarm. My full nature is still greater, I'm twice born. Inevitable, that's the fucking level I'm on. Picture me lost, I'm differently raw. Been through the muck, most y'all instantly boss. Now I'm strictly the boss, drippy, hood hippie couture. Feeding these bitches till it's ripping they jaws. For y'all fans of the bullshit, me flicking it off. I damage your whole clique, these clowns really pissing me off. My verse is heat, and scripted is law
like, bitch, you fucking know who you sitting across, huh?
Okay, you got their attention now,
I
bro.
keep winning.
You just gotta keep showing them what it is,
I
man.
keep winning.
Your shit different for real, though.
I keep winning.
Yo, stay away from this politics,
I
though,
keep
my
winning.
dude. They still not getting the message, kid.
I keep winning.
They still don't understand where you coming from.
I keep winning.
But make sure you secure the fucking
I
ground,
keep
man.
winning.
I see the growth,
Yo,
keep going.
I'm through playing it low key. Don't sleep. My power levels are OP. I'm floating. The mask
It
off.
is what it is.
The crew run deep, bigger than Sasquatch. We that large, the last gladiator. Blast off. It's either love or give me respect. That's all. Killing these niggas like, yeah, this what you asked for. Black Panther spit flames from Asgard. The whole squadron click transform. Fuck around, find out. Here's a crash course. Your time past now and fast forward.